So I actually never really wanted to be a singer. I know, so crazy. Hi, my name is Crystal, but some of you know me as Chai. I wanted to make this video as kind of like a reintroduce myself and also give some tea, some hot steaming tea. But if you, I guess just like a pre-warning, if you want to kind of like, if you want to preserve that image from the show, maybe don't watch this video. Yeah, okay, now that we got that out the way, I'm a 32-year-old singer-songwriter from Chicago. I've been living in Korea for 9 years now, almost 10. But 10 years ago, I had the amazing opportunity to be on a singing contest here in Korea. I guess the equivalence would be The Voice or American Idol. It was such an interesting experience. And what else can I say that won't get me in trouble? I actually don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm gonna tell you anyways because I don't go. I was scouted to audition for the show. At first I said no because I feel like most Korean Americans can relate unless you're from like LA or Georgia or New York. But I didn't grow up around Koreans. The only Koreans I knew were family members and people from church. So growing up, I didn't really listen to Korean music. I think the only Korean music I listened to was like Big Bang, 21. What's that one song? 남행 열차? Or 남의 영차례. You know that one? That's the only like things. That was my jam. Those were kind of the only Korean songs I grew up listening. And like Rain. What's that other group? It's like Rising Sun. You know what I mean? Like that was pretty much it. So when I got scouted, I said no because I don't know any singable Korean songs. They kind of gave me the details and I was like, oh, okay. And so I decided to go because I was like, what's the worst that can happen, right? I had 1 year left of university and I was like, you know what? School's always going to be there. This opportunity isn't. So let me just hop on this and see where it takes me. It's actually funny because when they came to my apartment to tell me like, oh, you've made it to Korea, like you're gonna go to Korea, you know, like how they do that and they like hand you an envelope and like whatever. They were like, oh, call your mom. And so I was like, okay. So I put her on speaker and I man, I wish they aired it. So I told my mom like, oh, I made it to the auditions in Korea. There was like complete silence for a good 10 seconds and then the first thing she says is, what about school? I look over at the producer and they're just like, so obviously they couldn't really use that. And so they had me call my biological dad, who I'm not that close with. In that clip, when he answers, which was weird that while I'm explaining that I made it and then like whatever, I started crying. That kind of got misunderstood in terms of why I was crying. I think people thought I was like so overwhelmed with happiness, but I was just crying because this man that like I'm not even close with is happy for me, but my mom was like worried about school. It's okay, Amma. I know you were just worried about my future. I get it. I understand. I don't know if this will like kind of ruin the image of how people see me or saw me on the show, but being a singer wasn't in the plans, okay? It wasn't on the bingo card, I will say that. Growing up, I wanted to be a designer, whether it was a fashion designer, an interior designer, or even an architect, making something with my hands. I feel like maybe because my mom had drilled it into my head that like, just do it as a hobby, do it as a hobby. And again, like, don't try to come at my mom, okay? She was just being a concerned parent. We love you, Mom. But boy, did I prove her wrong. Look at me now. Yeah. Anyway, so I advanced to Korea. And once I got here, obviously, you know, I registered as Crystal. So they spelled it out in Korean. So I got to the auditions and they were like, oh, actually, you can't use your name. And I was like, what do you mean? So what do I use then? This was before Chai had come into the picture, okay? They were like, oh, use your Korean name. And I was like, but the only time I hear my Korean name is when I'm like being yelled at. You know what I mean? Like, Isoo-jung! And you're just like, why? What did I do? So every time I hear my Korean name, I kind of like tense up a bit, like my butthole goes like. They had explained that I already look super American. If I audition with my English name, it just like slaps more good old American charm onto that, and they said it wouldn't work in my favor. So I said, okay, and I switched to my Korean name. I actually later found out on the show that it also means to fix or to edit. So when I was getting my hair and makeup done and they were like, 수정씨 메이크업 수정할게요. I was like, you're gonna what? I learned a lot on that show. I am very grateful for the opportunity to have experienced that show. I have met some amazing artists and some just amazing people in general through that show who I still keep in touch with today. I definitely do not take it for granted, but I think it was a very harsh drop kick into what the music industry looks like in Korea. Like before auditioning for the show, I had just dipped my toe into music. So to be catapulted into an entirely different universe, and not even just like the kiddie pool, but if there was a double black diamond of swimming pools, that's like, I just got like body slammed into it. So if I could change anything, I think that's maybe the only thing I would have changed is like doing a little bit more research before I went. Fast forward, at the end of the show, I was able to pay off all my school loans, and I was able to pay off my mom's mortgage, which to me was, and still is, one of like the coolest things that I think I've done. And then I signed to a label, which was also quite the experience. After the show, I actually went back to the States to finish my last year of uni because I thought it was a waste not to graduate when I just had 1 year left. But oh man, you sweet naive baby. I should have just ridden the wave, but unfortunately I did not know. So many things. So many things I know now. Like how the turnover rate is so quick. Like you need to constantly be pumping stuff out in order to stay relevant. After I graduated, I moved to Korea and I started prepping for my debut. That looked like piano lessons, vocal lessons, dance lessons, because your girl it cannot move, and a lot of other cool experiences. Stressful, but very cool. I unfortunately had the great pleasure of debuting during COVID. So what did that look like? Less gigs, for sure. But that also meant that when I did go to gigs, there were usually no audience members. It was just the crew that were filming, my team, and that was it. So I was usually singing to an empty crowd, which I think kind of took a toll on me, not gonna lie. But one thing that kind of carried me through was the support of the fans online, and still being able to feel that love and support virtually really carried me to the end, because if it weren't for that, like I don't think I would have had half the energy to continue to work like that. Fast forward again, my time with that label came to an end, and I felt the need to find and hop over to another label right away because I was like, I don't think I can do this here by myself in Korea. If it was in the States, maybe. But like at that time, I felt like you really needed a label to be able to kind of work. However, that is not the case anymore. But I met an amazing boss lady and she took me in. But unfortunately, as soon as my contract started, I lost complete hearing in my left ear and I was not able to make music. So that was just like a double whammy. And I took that as a sign as my body telling me that I need to pump the brakes. I need to take a quick breath and kind of realign. I told my boss, she was so nice about it, so gracious enough to kind of cancel my contract, give me the space and time to be able to collect myself, go get it checked out. Of course, the doctor tells me that it's stress-induced and that I need to control my stress levels. And I'm like, 역시, why didn't I think of that? You know? So, I mean, nah, that doctor was probably just trying to help. Anyways, I can hear now, but it feels like I have my AirPod in. I guess it's not gonna ever really completely heal because that was like maybe like 5 years ago. Wait, no. 1, 2. Yeah, I think that it's all right. So it does kind of distract me when I am singing, but it is what it is. I had to pivot and I started teaching English for the first time. My friends that were in Korea were already teaching. I had heard some stories and I was like, oh, I would never do that. And then we did it. And you know what? It was an interesting experience. But I love kids. But that made me like question if I really love kids. And then, like I talked to my mom about it and she's like, yeah, but they're not your kids. Once they're your kids, like you'll just love them. And I'm like, my kids would never punch me in the face with a marker, okay? Amidst that teaching experience, my best friend Mon put me onto voice acting, and I finally felt like I found something that not only kept me entertained, but I was able to utilize my voice still, and I am now investing in that new journey and opportunity, as some of you may know. It is both fun and super humbling. I have so many voices in my back pocket just like ready to come out. And when I'm able to utilize them, whether it's like a little girl voice, a little boy voice, or singing song and chants for educational materials, it's really something that keeps me excited to do. And that brings us to present day. And I'm excited to see what else is in store and what new opportunities and doors may open. When I first kind of put out the idea of starting to make content, a lot of people asked about music. They're like, well, what about music? Are you gonna put anything out? You should do covers, like things like that. And I kind of feel really bad because, to be honest, my relationship with music right now is not the best. I think it's been dragged through a lot, and I'm still in the process of healing that part of myself and trying to build up the confidence to even want to create again. I never actually said word for word what's going on with my music situation, but to set the record straight, I don't think I'm ready yet. I want to be able to unpack this before jumping back into it. So I appreciate everyone's patience thus far. If you could just give me a little bit more time, I promise that whatever I do come up with or whatever I do write and create, once I am in a better place with music, I promise you will need to hold on to your tits and panties. So just give me a little bit more time and I'll see you soon with some new music. But for now, I think this last year in Korea, I want to just really end on a happy, healthy note. So I hope you stick around. And yeah, let's get it.